Welcome to Watching the Throne.
A lyrical analysis of the one and the only Kanye West.
I am the common and everyday and pretty much throwaway Chris Lambert.
And I am the second Travis Bean, the first one being the guy who invented the Travis Bean guitar. And today is day 6 of the Advent calendar, the Jesus is King Advent calendar. And I might bite myself in the ass by saying this, but you know what? I think this is the best episode we've done yet, and maybe the best of the entire calendar.
Did you just say bite myself in the ass?
Yeah, it's a new expression I'm trying out. What do you think?
It's incredible. It's just the
imagery.
We talk about imagery in Kanye's art, and look, here you are.
You know, just like that moment you're like, should I not? Like, is this going to hurt me later? Like, just picture, like, think about biting yourself in the ass, and that action captures that feeling you would have.
It can really derail whatever you were thinking about, just picturing that.
Well, that's what I do best.
But Advent calendar, best episode yet?
Yeah, easily. And possibly the best of the entire calendar.
Amazing. I'm excited to be part of it.
And the tastiest one, because this one is we have a raspberry-filled cherry or chocolate treat. What if we had a raspberry-filled cherry here?
The world's all topsy-turvy now. Cherries are filled with raspberries. Raspberries are filled with pumpkins. What's going on?
That makes me want to barf. Anyway, day 6. Let's see what we got here. Oh, yeah. Okay, we're as we're going back through Kanye's discography, we're going to be counting down our favorite songs from each album. Day 3, I think we did College Dropouts, and today we're doing Late Registration.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Which I'm excited about. It's weird because I have like clear favorites on most other albums, but Late Registration, I like all the songs on like near equal amounts to where it was a little harder to pick these.
I completely agree. To pick my favorite songs, I just went to my grand list of Kanye songs, and my Late Registration songs are all grouped in like the exact same spot. So
right, it's just like it's solid all the way through without of the highs and lows.
Yeah, it's great, and I'm really excited. I actually genuinely have no idea what your number one's going to be, so I'm excited about this.
I feel like my number one's going to be kind of a little controversial.
Wow, okay. I had a feeling of what it might be, but now that you said that, I just have no idea.
Perfect.
Because the one I thought it was going to be is kind of a safe pick, and it sounds like that's not the case.
We'll see.
Okay. Well, let's start with number 5 before we get into all that.
All right, so number 5, I feel like all of these are going to be controversial. Honorable mention. Should we do our honorable mention first?
Yeah, yes, we should.
Okay, honorable mention, Hey Mama.
It's a song we know that is on neither of our lists.
Yeah, like we both love the song so much, it just didn't break into the top 5. Maybe it's just the sentimentality kind of holds like a special place for it, to where like I love the song for the sentimental reasons and a lot of the musical reasons as well, but it's close to being up there. I just like what the other things are doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great fucking song. Like we said, almost every song in Late Registration is good, so it being outside the top 5 isn't really an indication of anything about it other than it has a lot to compete with. And maybe more than what it is than anything is that it's kind of a straightforward song. Like, it's not. It's deep, and it's poetic, and it's beautiful. And fuck, I love the performance on Oprah. Like, don't get me wrong, Hey Mama's fucking great, but I just maybe think it's a little too straightforward and simple, and it serves a great place on the album because the whole album is Kanye kind of looking back on his past and looking forward to what he could do with his career and like getting settled into fame and celebrity. And his mom's a huge part of that. She brought him up to believe he can do anything. Like, she plays like a crucial component to it, but I guess if I'm just looking at the song itself, Like, I love it, but it just is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And nothing wrong with that. It's just
No.
for our tastes and preferences.
Which everyone hates, so let's get into it.
Yeah. Number 5 for me, which, God, people are going to be like, you just gave honorable mention to Hey Mama, and this is your number 5. That Adam Levine featured, Heard Him Say.
Oh, God. I thought you were going to say one of the skits.
Oh, no. I just think Wake Up, Mr. West is like minimalism before minimalism was cool.
And that Bernie Mac impression, on point.
Though, low-key, I do love My Way Home and wish My Way Home was like a full song.
Agreed. It's great.
But Heard Him Say, I just... the refrain to me, I think, is one of the catchiest that Kanye's ever done. And just that, nothing's ever promised tomorrow today, and how that sets up the album from the get-go. Like looking at the stuff that's in the future and what you have today, and thinking about the past in that respect. Like, I think it introduces the concept of time and your position to time really well in the album. And just has some great lines. It's like, in terms of pop Kanye, it's one of my favorite pop Kanye songs.
I've noticed as of late that people really love that song. I never realized how much people were on board with it. And I think it always does well in the Kanye West Song Tournament that we hold every year. I always see love for it, and that's great. It's awesome because it's such a simple little song. Like, it's only 2 minutes long, but people love it.
Mm-hmm. The only low point is listening to the song, I think, to the unreleased music video where they're in the mall. Mm-hmm. It's like very weird.
That's a low point for you?
Yeah, I'm just always like, why that video?
I know I've seen it, but I don't even remember it.
Don't.
Well, or I'll go watch it as soon as we're done. Okay. My number 5, a classic Kanye West song, and one that I don't think is controversial and will get me a lot of love, Roses.
Yes. Oh, you're
I'm just
pandering to the crowd. Yeah.
My whole list is a pander. Yeah, I love this song. Again, I love the aesthetic of the album and just that motif of looking back on your past and the people who made you who you are. And this song, to me, maybe a little more deeply, like if I'm going to compare it to Hey Mama, which I think is really simple, like Roses is to me a little more complex, and it puts you in this situation of being in the hospital and trying to reconnect with your family and being disconnected from like the nurse who just wants your autograph. And it's both displaying the connection you can have with your family and the person they raise, and at the same time showing the disconnect you can have from fame. There's a lot going on in that song all at once. And I love the imagery. I love the lyrics. Like, I love the sound of it. It puts me in a good mood. It soothes me. Like, it's just a great song all the way through.
Yeah, it felt wrong to me to leave Roses off of the list. I did it. I didn't like doing it.
That's why everyone hates your top 5.
Jordan's going to love it, though, right?
I don't... maybe. I know he doesn't like Heard Him Say, so...
Fuck. Of course.
so far, no.
He's going to hate it more than anyone. Yeah, but that dichotomy that you mentioned between like him trying to be there for his family and dealing with fame and thinking about the situation through the lens of fame is the thing that Kanye does so well on this album, just making sure everything is through that frame.
Yeah.
And having that contrast is huge. That juxtaposition on that song just gives it such depth when it's already an emotional song.
Yeah, I love it. All right, number 4.
Drive Slow.
Very good. Yeah. You know what? Drive Slow is my number 4 too, so let's just talk about it at the same time.
Yeah, there's something like very drinkable to the beat. Like, I feel like I could have that beat play throughout the day of my entire life.
What are you tasting when you drink it up?
Rubber.
I taste Henny.
Yeah. That's
Expensive Henny.
that's good. You have good taste buds, where mine are very Ohio.
This sounds like a gross drink for you.
Yeah, but
Blue collar drink.
that's right. The drink of my people. My dad worked at Ford, so.
There you go.
But I always love the storytelling that Kanye does. Like on this album, a lot with Drive Slow, Gold Digger, Roses, Hey Mama. Like he really was very biographical on this album, which was really cool. Not like Gold Digger's biographical, but just a storyteller for a lot of the verses. And I just really like the vision that we get, kind of the window into this point in time in Kanye's life, and the idea that comes with like this rush to grow up, and again how that plays into the album as a whole. Like here he is famous now, and the words of Drive Slow hold more weight now than they maybe did then when he was young and like had that fire and that passion to like go fast and far. And we'll see on Graduation that he, like the character on Graduation doesn't drive slow and what happens. So it's just kind of, I always thought cool that here he's kind of aware that there's danger when you're reaching this point of fame with what happens if you don't kind of take your time. But then also that escalation into verse 2 and verse 3 as you see Kanye kind of at the back end of things, like still a young kid, not really in the game, not doing anything, versus Paul Wall, who has had a little bit more success, versus GLC, who embodies this like super successful person that comes in with all this authority and his perspective and point of view. And just each of those perspectives give a different look on achievement and fame and what the idea of driving slow over time can get you.
Yeah, and I think this is a good example of something we didn't understand early on in the podcast. Like we always had this vision of Kanye as a young producer, somebody who didn't have control over the people featured on his albums. People who were just coming in and spitting whatever verse they wanted. You know, if Jay wanted to talk about Rockefeller, like he got to talk about it. You're not going to tell him no. But I think this song in particular shows that, especially, you know, with the whole album having this motif of looking back in your past and kind of looking at who you once were and who you've become, like this song really does embody that. It feels like Kanye is having those conversations with people and letting them know like what direction the album is going or what moods and tones he's picking for the album, what he's exploring, and that becomes part of what you rap. And I think this song is kind of case in point because, like you said, it starts out with Kanye being super naive and new to the world, to Paul Wall, who's like kind of egotistical and full of himself and kind of touting himself, to GLC, who's kind of this wizened, mature figure who understands how the world works and is ready to coach Kanye. Like you could see that progression building, and I think that's really the trajectory you see Kanye in the whole album. Like it's there are points later in the album where, you know, he's in the midst of celebrity and he's starting to understand the way things are. He's starting to understand some of the more depressing elements of being a celebrity, or stuff isn't as great as it seems, and he's showing more confidence. And it's, I don't know, it's the whole album is an amalgamation of that journey, and this song really displays that in a very poetic way.
Yeah, I like the contrast too, which I guess I'll get into that when I get into the next song. But
okay, let's do it.
Okay, for me, the number 3 is Gone.
I thought might be your number 1.
Yeah, it was almost my number 1, but I still need to sit with it a little longer. I'm a late convert to Gone.
You're a convert.
A convert. I know for a couple of years there were people on Twitter constantly touting Gone, and I was like, yeah, I like Gone, but you know, not my favorite on the album. And then one day I was on a plane and I forgot to download music onto my phone, so I was only able to download like 7 tracks from Late Registration. And Gone kept playing in this like 4.5 hour plane ride, and it eventually reached a point where I just put Gone on repeat and was sitting there with it, just blown away by some of the lines, like the details of the soundscape, like getting to listen to it with like really good headphones on, like over and over again, was such a beautiful thing. That I finally like understood where everybody else is coming from with it. And when we went through Late Registration and kind of picked apart what the album was doing, what the album was exploring, you have this concept on Drive Slow, right? Like that you don't want to go too fast, that if you do go too fast, you might blow your opportunity, which is framed through talking with women, right? Like, you know, you might meet some hoes, homie, you need to pump your brakes and drive slow just to give yourself the best chance, because if you go in fast or you drive by, you can miss an opportunity. But by the time he's on Gone, and kind of at this point, if you look at the album as kind of having progress, or just Gone being the end result of all of these thoughts that he's been having, he ends up leaving everybody because he realizes that some people are using him, some people are aping his style, like that he's the one giving inspiration, but they'll replace him one day and he'll become Jennifer Aniston. And people will come back to him because they need more songs, more inspiration, but Kanye is going to be gone at that point. And it's almost like he sees the dangers of what fame can be, and there's this moment where he almost escapes, right? That he can envision himself getting out of there before it's too late. But he doesn't. And where's his discography go? Graduation, where his ego's corrupted. 808s and Heartbreak, where his heart's broken by fame. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, where he completely loses his way by fame. Just in terms of what his discography goes on to do, Gone is such a tipping point moment of him having that brief opportunity to escape, and he just doesn't. And things go south for a while before finally, you know, he ended up in a great place. But I just love the song in that context. And then it just has so many great lines, so much like great music to it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And one of the best samples he's ever done, I would say. Sampling It's Too Late by Otis Redding, and just the way he samples, like Kanye's, again, as always, a beautiful use of a sample where it becomes meaningful to like the song itself, like what he's exploring lyrically. And, you know, It's Too Late is this song about this woman, Otis wishes he would have said like I love you too, and would have told her how he felt, and Kanye kind of twist it and he becomes the woman in the song, and like the world becomes Otis Redding. It's crazy. And it's kind of his, I don't know, there's something very confident about that use. Like it's Kanye kind of finally being like, I'm good enough to like be the best, and if people are going to keep telling me no, or telling me that I shouldn't be a rapper, or that I'm not good enough to be in the game, like he's moving past that. That's to me kind of the vibe I get from this song, and what that final line really means, like sorry Mr. West is gone. He's kind of just moving on and just going to be Kanye West.
Can't stop him.
I love it. All right, Travis's number 3. I kind of don't want to say it because I feel like this is your number 1.
Go for it.
Gold Digger.
We'll have to see.
Okay, we'll have to see. This is you know what? I won't say too much about it because I'm pretty positive it's somewhere on your list. But what I will say is that of all the songs in Late Registration, like this is the one I pick because it's such a banger. Like of all of his radio songs, like a lot of which like I'm actually not super on board with. Like sometimes they're not my favorite Kanye songs. Gold Digger is actually like a legit song. It's so, it is a Kanye song, but at the same time it's like kind of not. Like it's such a banger that it feels like it could have been made by someone else. I mean, the depth of it really comes from Kanye's lyrics, because it goes into these really weird territories. It's not the kind of song you think it is. Like, it's both damning of gold diggers and like the men who get involved in gold digging. Like, it's kind of like an early Blood on the Leaves in a way. And I don't know, I think it's just a really amazing song sonically. It's, again, another song that if I'm playing it and a brick wall's nearby, I'm going to go right through it.
Sorry, officer, I couldn't not run through the brick wall.
It's a great car song too.
A great windows down car song.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll chime in later.
All right, number 2.
Number 2, which I don't think would have been on the list earlier this year or last year or any other year prior to 2019. But it's Diamonds from Sierra Leone remix.
Ah, okay.
And I'm now wondering if this is your number 1.
It could be, it could not be.
It's just, people talk about the sample use all the time. Like, it's such a gorgeous and luxurious sample to use that's so fitting for the song. And just having Kanye's dichotomy from looking at the cost of diamonds and blood diamonds and the superficiality of it, and do we need this, to still somehow managing to find a way to present the diamond as like a positive thing. Like, he explores the facets of the diamond in this variety of ways, and what's relatively a short verse, I think it hits really hard, is really clean, and maybe be Kanye like trying to compete with Jay-Z a little bit, like in a way that he maybe didn't try to on Never Let Me Down. So I always really liked his verse on it. And then when we finally had our realization about Jay's verse and how Kanye used Jay on College Dropout, and then how he'd be using Jay here, it just made me appreciate the song way more than before. Where before I was like, half the song's great and then Jay-Z's off topic. Finally reaching a point where it's like the song's great and Jay-Z's on topic and being used in the way that Kanye wants to use him. Perfect. It just drives home even more, especially looking at the contrast still of like somebody early in fame versus somebody that fully has their fame. And you see Kanye still having expressed through the diamond this conflict himself with how much he should dive into it and how much he shouldn't. And then you have Jay there, who's just the full embodiment of who and what he is. There's something really cool about that dichotomy and how it fits into the tension on the album as a whole.
I agree, and I will elaborate on that in probably a few minutes. But my number 2 is, I don't think would be on a lot of people's favorite songs from Late Registration, but to me it's like this and Addiction to me are the 2 songs that kind of represent later Kanye really expanding his sound and getting into like Yeezus-y style production. I mean, it's nothing like the Yeezus is erratic and abrasive and like can be very difficult to get into, whereas I think this song really isn't. But I love crack music for that reason. I think it's kind of it's a banger, but not in like a radio way. Like, it's got this really weird, infectious beat. It has a lot of personality and like anger to it, I guess is more what I'm thinking of when I think of Yeezus. Like, it has this drive and this energy that I don't think you really see from any other Kanye song on his first 2 albums. And it's so aggressive, and it captures this energy where like Kanye feels oppressed and small in the scope of like society and politics, and the reaction is to make this crack music. Like, he uses a metaphor through drugs to say like, we create this music because we have to, like, this is all we have, this is how we fight back. And I just love the passionate energy he brings to the whole song. Like, even the way he's rapping is so different for him, and I'm always for it. I really respond to the energy of the song, and I get going.
I was really torn about putting crack music on the list. Like, it very easily could have been like number 2 or 3, which is weird that it's not 4 or 5 then. But there's something about that song that's always like the concept of it and some of the images he uses.
Yeah.
Like, it hit me as like every time I listen to the song the same way, where I'm just like, that's so well said, or like well done, or that's such a strong image that it kind of hasn't lost power to me over the years at all. And still remains like a pretty relevant like social critique that's maybe getting more relevant all the time.
Yeah. I love it. Are you going to make your 2:30 hair appointment?
It's not far away. And
Okay.
I have a 15-minute buffer.
Okay, let's get the number 1 then.
Okay. Number 1, yeah, you called it Gold Digger.
I had a feeling.
Yeah, I don't know. It was everything that you're saying. Like, it's such like a pop song, which is weird for us because we tend to be the ones that are always like, Jesus and Life of Pablo, and like, I Thought About Killing You is my favorite Kanye song. Like, to then like, I think promote Gold Digger as strongly may seem out of character. And I've seen on Twitter a lot of people talk about how much they hate Gold Digger, that Gold Digger like hasn't held up at all, or was overrated, which still like surprises me.
Yeah.
Just the first notes like of Jamie Foxx singing every time get me so excited. Like, the beat still like grabs me every time I hear it. I talk about crack music not losing power. Like, Gold Digger has yet to ever feel old to me.
Agreed.
And I love the twist that comes in at the end. And I think that twist was such a sign of what makes Kanye great. Because if the song was just from the perspective of the guy that's used by this woman, and like, haha, she tricked him, like, look what women do, I'd have a bit more of an issue with it. I'd be like, I love the song, I love listening to it, but it's such a one-dimensional view. But when he gets into that third verse and like you get the song kind of breaking down, you get that reveal that once this guy is like doing his thing and like works hard, you have his like loyal girl who's been there with him and like isn't going to be the gold digger, right? She's going to like be by her man through thick and thin and like believe in him, and then he leaves her. And you just, as you said, it's like such blood on the leaves stuff where like men are taking advantage of women, women are taking advantage of men, and like when and why do people just have a genuine relationship when we're so caught up in materialism and presentation and like how people look at us that we'll sacrifice the person that was like there for us or use somebody who was there for us just to meet those ends? Having that twist is so cool. And it's when he comes back in with the last line, like, he'll leave your ass for a white girl, and then just has that like, get down girl, go ahead, get down. It almost becomes him like allowing for the gold digger behavior at that point, where before it was kind of sarcastic. Now it's like, yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. And it has one of those classic Kanye endings that flips everything up on its head, kind of like you're just saying. Like on Facts, how at the end, he spent this whole song railing against Nike and corporations and everyone that holds them down. And then at the end, he's like, we just glad to be alive. Pray for Timbuktu. Like, suddenly it has this completely different perspective that makes you question everything you heard in the song. Like, do you really need to be railing against these corporations? Like, why not live like with love and like try to work with people? And it really makes you think about the whole song differently. I think that's what happens at the end of Gold Digger. It's you suddenly start to question him in like his lifestyle choices, and I think like of the song sounded so one-sided. It's so one-sided that it suddenly reveals that like, oh, there's a completely different side to this, and people hurt each other, and when people aren't good to each other, like this kind of stuff happens.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And it was a radio hit and doing all that. Fucking crazy. Okay. Travis is number one. Who's excited? We all know
I
what
am.
it is.
I am.
Yeah, Diamonds from Sierra Leone remix. I love it for all the reasons you said. I think the juxtaposition between Kanye and Jay and the energies they're giving off, like you said, to me is what sells the song. Like, I already think Kanye's verse is really deep and poetic and reflective. And again, you know, somebody who's chasing celebrity, it's this moment suddenly where Kanye is like questioning himself and questioning what his diamonds mean and how it could hurt people in the world to live his life like this. It juxtaposes that naive, up-and-comer feeling with Jay, who's made it, who probably has gone through all these emotions before, and they each take their own version of what the rock means to them, like the most symbolically what means the most to them. So for Kanye, it's him thinking about what it means that he wants to be a celebrity, and for Jay, it's thinking about what the rock means as a major celebrity. And for him, it's the pinnacle, you know, it's Rockefeller. It's this rock that he created. And I love that. It reminds me of Never Let Me Down and how Kanye wants to get to this, you know, elevated point, and Jay represents that and embodies that. And I love that about Jay and that sonnet. Like you said, I think we used to think of it as just purely ego and somebody who wasn't really thinking about what the song meant to Kanye, but really he is. He's thinking about what the next step is for Kanye. You know, once you realize what's going on in the world and you realize what a diamond really means and what it can represent to people, like, make the most of it. Like, get out there and become the best you could be, become the pinnacle, be an inspiration to people, and do more with your career. Like, don't let it just be that you got blood diamonds. Like, create something like Rockefeller, and you can change the world that way. It's so epic and clearly so meaningful to Kanye on this album, where he's thinking about how he can get to that point. Like, Jay is the pinnacle. He's everything.
I have nothing to add to that.
It's good stuff. Yeah, and you got a hair appointment to get to.
Well, it was also just very well said. But yeah, I do have to look fresh for our interview.
Ooh, interview with, well, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk soon. But interviewing someone nice, fly out to LA tomorrow, and we'll see how it goes.
We'll keep everybody in step the whole way.
Yeah, by tomorrow, the interview, this episode will already come out by the time we've done the interview. So
yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, you may already know who we're talking about.
You might, but you don't.
Oh, and a bit of a quick Jesus is King news. Kanye updated his website to have the picture of the notepad. So
it's happening.
It's happening.
It better happen.
For the love of God, please happen. All right. Until next time.
Yeah. Keep it wavy. Or stay wavy.
Loopy, wavy, keep it, stay.